What's going on, money makers? I'm Brandon Robinson, Director of National Investments here at Calvary Realty. Look us up on Google. We got 5 stars. Have you ever bought something that's very nice and shiny in the store, then you took it home and it's full of problems? Or have you ever dated someone that looked very pretty, but then once you got into a relationship with them, they were a little bit crazy? That's sort of the same vein of what can happen to you in a storage deal. There's some deals that have a very high cap rate that is very appealing, that's screaming, buy me, 10% cap rate. But what you want to ask yourself is, why is this deal listed at a 10% cap rate? What is it that I'm not seeing that's causing this seller to want to sell this property below market value? In this video, I'm going to give you some things that you should look out for on deals that have a very high, very attractive cap rate. Let's get into it. Now, when you see a deal that has a cap rate that looks too good to be true, instead of you being an eager beaver and just jumping right into it, you want to ask yourself this question: why is the cap rate so high? Is this owner just that out of touch with the market? Are they just that naive that they don't keep up with values of property? Or, on the contrary, are they trying to pass along some of the problems that they're hiding from you? One of those problems could be that the property is not financeable. If the cap rate is 10, 15%, that may look great, that may be a great return on investment for you, but if you cannot actually get bank financing on that property, that's a deal that you probably shouldn't buy. And there's various reasons why a bank may not finance a property. It could be in a city that is on the decline and on the verge of becoming a ghost town. Maybe the phase 1 report came back dirty. Maybe there's some building and safety issues with the property that's causing it to not meet the current codes. But for whatever it is, the property is just not financeable. Another issue could be that the property has some type of governmental violations. Maybe building and safety came and put a red tag on the building and they're on the verge of condemning the property. Maybe the property is supposed to have fire sprinklers, but there are no fire sprinklers. Or worse, maybe the property is not permitted for use as a storage. There was a property here in Fontana, California that actually was shut down 5 years ago because the owner was operating that business without a city permit. So you have a property, doesn't have a permit, high cap rate, stay away. Severe maintenance and repair issues, okay? What's the purpose of buying a property that has even a 20% cap rate, but you have to put money into it every single month to bring it up to par? Maybe it's a wooden building and you got a bunch of termite infestation. Maybe there's rodent infestation. Maybe the building is falling apart, needs a new roof. Cap rate may be high, but if the maintenance expenses are a little bit too high, that's something that you should probably stay away from. High crime rate, okay? There's a reason why people have high cap rates. Part of that could be because they own property in the area that is prone to crime, frequent break-ins. Maybe they're in the middle of some type of gang turf war and tenants don't actually want to go to the property. Maybe it's difficult for them to have managers stay long-term because they get threatened by tenants. You'd be surprised at some of the stories that property managers may tell you of them almost coming to blows with tenants. So if you have a situation like that, cap rate might be high, but may want to stay away. Another reason why you may want to stay away from a deal, even though the cap rate looks very attractive, is because of some type of lawsuits associated with the property. If you have the city government or even the EPA that has some type of action or lawsuit against the property for hazardous waste contamination, you may want to stay away from that. Lawsuits amongst partners or lawsuits with tenants. Environmental hazards. If the property has underground storage tanks that is storing hazardous waste, property is near a gas station that was leaking gas into the property, that would be a reason to also stay away from that deal. Insurance claims. If you look at the P&L and see that the owner and the tenants have filed multiple insurance claims against this property, something's wrong. Whether they are insurance claims due to weather, maybe the place is in an area where there's a lot of tornadoes, floods, earthquakes, that would be something to stay away from. Or again, if there's a lot of crime and tenants are frequently filing claims because their property is being damaged. Declining population or decline in the economy of that city. Maybe it is a city where they had some big industry like coal mining or a steel mill, and that industry shut down. Now all of the residents are fleeing from that town, businesses are fleeing with it. That may be a reason to stay away from that deal, even though the cap rate looks attractive, because in 2 years, the place may just be a ghost town. Another reason would be the property is in too rural or too remote of an area, and it's very difficult to get to, very difficult to access. It's 2 hours away from a major metropolitan area. Even though the cap rate might look well, it may be very difficult for you to get vendors out to the property to work on any type of repair or maintenance. It'd be difficult for you to get a manager out there to run the facility. Or even worse, it would be too far away for tenants to actually drive their belongings to that property. That's something that you should watch out for. Another issue, which is a very big one, and I probably should have had this one first, are issues with the title to the property. So if there's issues with the chain of title and it's very difficult to prove who owns the property, that's a red flag. Maybe the person selling it to you is not the actual owner. Maybe they committed some type of title fraud and they stole a title or stole property from a family or a relative or from a stranger. Title fraud is pretty big nowadays. So if you can't prove ownership through title, then that would be a deal that you might want to stay away from. Also, in the same vein of title is if there's restrictions or easements or covenants with that property that are not favorable to you as the owner, that would also be a reason to pump the brakes and avoid buying that deal, even at such a very attractive cap rate. Neighborhood nuisances. So if you are next door to a tenant or a business and they make a lot of noise, or maybe it's a nuclear waste plant and people don't want to store their belongings next to a nuclear waste plant out of fear of having some type of contamination to their belongings, that would be a reason to pump the brakes on that deal. And government policies. Maybe the property taxes in that area are just so high and they continue going up so much that at some point it doesn't make sense to go through with that deal. We sell property in states where we see property taxes as high as 3%, 4% of the sales price, and the governing bodies of that state are still looking to drive the sales taxes or the property taxes even higher than what they are. So it might look good going in at the property and buying it at a 10% cap rate, but once those property taxes are reassessed every single year, that 10% cap rate now goes down to a 6 or 5% cap rate. In closing, when you see a deal that looks too good to be true, you want to pump the brakes and ask yourself, why is the cap rate so high? You want to peel back the onion. You want to look beneath the surface and see if there are some underlying issues that the owner is hiding from you that may not make this deal a good investment for you. If you have any interest in buying or selling real estate, Calvary Realty would love to be of assistance. We have 5 stars on Google. Until next time, keep making money.